I am Cornelius Wilson, currently working for the city of Detroit. My current title right now is Senior Housing Coordinator. For the most part, I was just being given good ear. But as time went on, it was very enlightening for me because there were things that I was learning about, particularly the men in our community, that I had no idea. And I've heard that old saying where they say, you find something that you love to do is not a job. Well, that's what I found that was not a job for me. And so I've been doing it ever since. It became a very, very personal goal to make sure that our community took their heads up out the sand and realized that this virus, the HIV virus, was affecting us probably more than other communities that they were looking at. The white gay community was who was the face that was on the forefront. But the folks that were being most impacted was us. And folks did not want to accept that. And until it hit them personally. And when it hit them personally, they didn't know how to deal with it. So they pushed family members off to the side. Didn't want to deal with them, ran from them. And it just became very exhausting because I found myself scheduling funerals. I mean, like you do meetings. And that got to be a bit much. My greatest accomplishment was men of color. We started meeting, me, one of my coworkers, we started a group, 4 Black men, to meet and discuss how we're going to deal with this virus, HIV. One of the things that happened with that was that my coworker, who was very open, very out front about who he was, he wanted everything to be very gay specific. And I just knew our community wasn't ready for that. Over time, he got frustrated, he moved on, and we continued to meet. And we kind of toned things down, and folks started coming out of the woodworks. And what we found was that folks were looking for an opportunity or some place where they can come and not only get information, but just kind of talk about how they were dealing in their own little worlds. We were meeting in what was a conference room of the organization. We outgrew that in, I think, maybe 5, 6 months. One of our members had a relationship with the church, St. Matthew, St. Joseph's. And he introduced us to Father Harmon, who allowed us to come and start meeting there. And that's when things really exploded. We knew that that church would hold 200 people seated. And every Tuesday, that room would be so packed that folks would be lined, not only all of the seats were taken, but folks would be lined up sometimes around the walls. But what we realized was that folks were hungry for information. And when they realized that you had a group of Black men that were doing this, Black men who were unafraid, who were willing to step out front and take the lead on making sure our community got educated, I believe it kind of opened up doors in our community for us. And we also focused not only on HIV, but we recognized that our community dealt with other health issues as well. And we also wanted to shine a light on that. We were learning as we go because this was all new to us. My position at Men of Color, it was and is founder, executive director eventually. From its inception, which was early 90s until 2000. So almost a decade, because we were only ones of our type on this end of the country, in this area of the country. They were doing it in New York, they were doing it on the West Coast. No one was doing it in the Midwest. The primary mission of Men of Color was to educate, inform, and educate Black men and the broader African American community. I say African American and the broader African American community on HIV and AIDS and its impact on the community at that time. But my legacy will be how do I define legacy? That's a hard one for me because I don't know what that is. My thought would be that I hope I made some sort of impact within our community as far as allowing people to be themselves, putting the focus back on education, information, and for my peers, Black men, younger, older, not be so afraid. Because the system can't do no more to you than you allow them to do. And one of the things that I would hope a legacy would be for us to stand up and take control of our community and our lives.